what it is. Jeremy here with DuraMag Warehouse, and we're at the JTAC Ranch with some friends of ours over at DuraMag. They gave us the whole factory tour, and now we're out here doing the ultra fun stuff, which is shooting, and there's obviously something that DuraMag's doing that I think is a pretty big deal. So I'm not gonna waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So I'm here with Justice, VP of Sales, correct?
Correct.
For DuraMag. And he took me through a facility, the DuraMag facility, and I was immediately impressed. Not just by like walking in, it was a nice looking place, but the scale of what you guys are doing and the size of how you're doing it is actually phenomenal.
Yeah. Very lean company, extremely like everything. The product-wise is very focused on efficiency and automation as it is. So we translate that into the way that we produce products anyways. You know, putting all the focus on quality control rather than actually turning wrenches and operating a machine. So we automate that system and the rest kind of falls in line.
Yeah.
Just like that.
There you go. Falls in a line. Exactly. It's poetic. And the other part about it is everybody was very happy.
Yeah, man.
It's hard to come across a bunch of happy people in a warehouse or in some sort of constructive environment where they're doing kind of tedious things, you know, repeated tasks over and over. But everybody was having a good time.
Yeah. I mean, we keep a clean space. You know, we've made our new building to kind of be a more professional space for them, even at the even at the production level. You know, we want them to feel, even though they're may be even new hires, we want them to feel that they're working at, you know, true high-end manufacturing because in effect they are. But we really want to make sure they're not working in a dingy, dark warehouse. To us, that's really important. We want them to have control of their space, control of the product.
That's right.
And you know, give them a space that is comfortable, professional, and you know, with the focus being less on production and more on quality. They're really encouraged in that sense to where they're not really beat up over quotas, they're not beat up over numbers or hitting certain things. It's like, no, if they need something to make them more efficient at their job, you know, everybody all the way up to the top to Adel, you know, like he says, his door is always open. If somebody has an idea or they see an inefficiency, they're always encouraged. Or if they see a problem, he's like, stop everything that you're doing and, you know, bring it to everybody's attention.
Absolutely.
So
and
it's kind of cool.
One of the first things that Adel told me was that the number one and most important thing is your name.
You know, the most valuable asset anyone could have, you know what it is? Your name.
Yeah.
This is the most valuable asset.
Your name is your reputation, and every single one of these mags has your name on it. And so all that trickles down into the little details. So tell me a little bit about the quality control measures that you guys have put in place to make sure that these are as perfect as they can possibly be.
Yeah, so one of the things we believe in first and foremost is building the tooling, you know, building the support for how the product is made from the ground up to have quality control in mind and to have systems that really secure the geometry to just make it as easy as possible, not only on our process, but make the product really consistent. I think a really good example is like our 762x39 mags. This is an incredibly, surprisingly complicated part to make. And for years, it was always the reputation that you can't do 762 in an AR pattern mag. And there are a lot of things about that. But keys to the success of our consistency, first and foremost, is the way we do our tooling. It's all progressive die tooling. We buy the best materials possible for tooling. We don't want things to change at all. We want, you know, mag number 1 and mag number 1 million to be exactly the same. But in doing so, we also incorporate some technologies that we developed. You may have noticed yesterday when we were talking about the robotic welding,
Yeah.
is the post and hole design is really, really super critical to how the halves are actually mated together. That's our first line of simple go, no go. If they don't mate up properly and the operator's job is to visually inspect them while gauging in, it's a quick rejection. But also it's really clear if they don't mate up properly and they get put on the belt, the robot grabs them and they see, okay, this locating feature is off.
That's
so
crazy.
It's rejected. Yeah. Faults out, stops what it's doing. The operator has to go and reset it and just, okay, you know. But even still, we designed specific features because like 762 by 39, because of this curvature, this portion right here, this like apex of this curvature has always been one of the biggest problems with these. So, and what I mean by that is because of the shape of this, you've got two halves, it can easily get too tight there. And that was a lot of the problem with like our competition. They get too tight here and the mag just doesn't function. You can't fix it with followers or springs or anything. If the body is too tight, the flow isn't going to go through there. And it's going to be hard to load. It's going to run terribly. So we just built systems into the part itself to perfectly control that geometry. So it's always the same. It can never get too tight. It can never get too big. So, you know, you just have simple dead stops for the part to never move. And it's all about just making that little investment, investing the few extra thousands of dollars to make the tool or to change the tool. If we find an advancement and a way that we can enhance production to say, hey, we can eliminate, you know, we can reduce defect rate by 20% if we just change this little thing and invest $9,000 into the rebuild of this tool, and it'll add this tiny little feature. We do that.
Absolutely. I was very impressed with the facility and how everything is run and the attention to detail that you guys have on even the littlest things. Like for a lot of people now, a magazine is seen as like a simple, easy product, but there's a lot of time and effort that goes into making sure that these are as perfect as they can possibly be. We kind of take that for granted. When you see how it's made, it's like when you see some of these machines and the arms coming in, you see all the electronics and how it's wired in with the computer programming and everything else. And there's a guy who set that up.
Yeah.
To automate the whole process. It's like, man, I need to learn a couple more things because it's impressive. It's cannot be understated how much is pouring into the smallest, seemingly disposable item on your gun.
Yeah, and I think that's long, and that's what we've really tried to change with our product line is, you know, magazines were generally always regarded as a disposable commodity. If you get one that doesn't work, you throw it away and you get another one. But it's like, but why does it have to be that way? Why can't you have a really good, perfect, consistent product out of the bag every time that you can depend on? Wouldn't you rather have that?
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, these are an investment, especially because, you know, as in the civilian world, we buy these with our own money. They're not issued to you. You know, it's like, why would you pay extra or pay the same amount of money for a product that you're going to have to replace in a year or a couple of range strips? You know, why not buy this product and expect to have it for the rest of your life and give it to your kids?
Absolutely.
You know, so that's what we've tried to do. And, you know, we're not ignorant to the fact that, you know, magazines are still going to be, you know, a disposable item at the end of the day. But it's like, we can sure do and try everything we possibly can to mitigate that.
So now we've covered all the DuraMag side of DuraMag, but there's also something else here that I want to talk to you about. And I know it doesn't have a name yet, and I know it's not really available.
Mysterious product.
There's a lot of it shrouded in secrecy. However, I think this is a major deal. It solves a lot of pain points that I have with buying suppressors. So I want to get this information out to as many people as humanly possible, like right now.
Okay.
So what can you tell me about this
So,
can?
New project for C Products Defense is we have a whole suppressor division. And we basically sat down as shooters ourselves and we said, hey, you know, we like the idea of modular suppressors, but to us, there really isn't a true modular suppressor on the market or a suppressor that gives us, you know, the safety benefits that it should. It's always a trade-off.
Sure.
But we kind of came down and we said, what's modularity mean to us? The ability to micro-tune the suppressor, but also to have macro adjustments. I don't like modularity in the sense that you simply add length to a 30 cal can or subtract length to it. I want something that's caliber specific.
Right.
Because every caliber has its own profile, if you will. It has its own way that it actually burns and dumps pressure, and it has its own way of distributing pressure. 5.56 and 7.62 NATO are completely different calibers, and especially in the way that they distribute force and gas. So we said, why would we not want a system that is tunable to the actual caliber? So that's what we're doing here. So it's really interesting. We're incorporating traditional machining with a solid titanium exterior tube, but then kind of throwing it back a little bit and saying, hey, we like monocore designs in the sense that we can take them apart and clean them. They're fantastic for that, because you really do need to clean suppressors. Just like you need to clean your gun, you especially need to clean a suppressor. So from there we said, but our issues with monocores is that they simply don't perform the way that we want it to. So we worked on a couple of different designs. We brought this design in-house, and it is a 3D printed monocore system that works off of you have the similarity of like a traditional baffle stack structure, but we've also really utilized a geometry that maximizes our surface area and also air volume internally, which are two key components for suppression. The fact that the core is completely removable, completely serviceable, and that the core is actually built around the specific caliber that it's intended for. So
Exactly.
like a 300 blackout core and a 30 cal, high pressure rifle core is a completely different thing. 300 blackout supers and 300 blackout subs are essentially different calibers.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like you need to have that specific geometry internal to be able to redirect that gas and control that gas, not simply just dumping everything out the front. One of the key tenets for us is, okay, let's also make sure that it's true next-gen suppression. There are a couple of companies that are doing what is kind of the direction of next-gen suppression is low back pressure, low back gassing, hearing safe, low toxicity. These are all really important. I like shooting suppressed because I want to save what hearing I have, but I don't like the adverse risk to my health. So that was always a big concern for us. It's like how do we have good sound performance, but also low toxicity, little to no back pressure and back gassing into the system, and that's what we've accomplished with this. So it works on a complete pressure equalization system. So instead of like a high flow can that simply takes it, redirects it, and just dumps it all out the front as quickly as possible, we actually equalize the pressure internally and then vent it at a very particular time. And that's why having the core really specific to the caliber is really important.
Absolutely. Yeah, the biggest, coolest part for me is that whenever I file with the ATF and pay the extortion fee, I have to just buy the sleeve. The core's on the inside. I can get a couple different kinds if I want.
Yeah.
Right? And the serialized portion is just the sleeve itself. So if anything happens on the inside of that internally, I need parts replaced, it's not going to get locked up in jail again for X number of months until you guys can get it back, or not you guys, but people who make suppressors already. And that way, I don't need a do-it-all can. I can get the actual cores I need for the specific calibers that I need.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's a really feature-loaded kind of a thing, and that's a big aspect to it, is the fact that we want to have real modularity for your different calibers, because most people own one or two different calibers, and it's
Right.
you want to suppress both of those and suppress them in an efficient way. So having the ability under current ATF wisdom and opinion and guidance, at the time of sale, a suppressor can come with all of its restricted parts and baffles and everything that would be unsellable after the fact or on its own. But if we're selling them as a kit and letting people build their kit and saying, hey, I want to buy this suppressor, I want a 5.56 dedicated Inconel core, and then for my hunting rifle, I want a titanium 308 core. Boom, here you go.
Yeah.
You know, it's the price for the suppressor and then a small add-on of a couple $100 for the additional core. Yeah. Oh my God. And then the end caps. The end caps are really
Yes.
cool because, like we talked about with micro adjustments, we developed and patented a 2-piece end cap system that very simply changes the dwell time of the caliber that you're running. So, say for instance, you're going from supers to subs. There's a very different dwell time of that projectile in the way that the gas is actually operating within the suppressor itself. So, by restricting that vent, you simply, take off the end cap system, reinstall it with the vents closed, and you've completely changed your dwell time. You're not changing your backgassing. You're just changing the rate at which the gas circulates and vents through the suppressor,
Right.
which translates to a really great decibel reduction when you're going from supers to subs.
Yeah, you guys thought about a lot of stuff I never would have thought about. So that's pretty impressive.
We like suppressors, man. We use all of them under the industry regularly, and we know what we like, we know what we don't like, we know what works well on what, and we always kind of are like, we want to make our own. Like, I would love to have this suppressor, so we ended up just doing it ourselves, and it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. But I want to recap a couple things just because I know some of the questions. So mounting.
Oh, yeah.
What's it going to mount to?
So we decided just to go with the standard, the Bravo style threading. I forgot the exact number off the top of my head, but all your Chemo,
right
Xeno, right here.
Yep, is where it's located.
Chemo, Xeno, Reardons, ASR. It's, I think commonly it's called like the ASR thread pitch for your mounting devices. We're even looking at finishing a design for a Surefire adapter too, so that people can have, a lot of people have pin and welded Surefire devices, the war comps and all the flash hiders and stuff. So it's like, it's a decent mounting system. It has, great lockup. So we're looking at that. We're going to design something that can, thread into this and just be a quick detach adapter for your existing Surefire devices. But yeah, and direct thread, whatever. We designed our own version of it that we really like. It's a taper thread taper system, very, very much like how a Xeno is built, but just with a few little cleaned up features that
Gotcha.
we like how it locks up and how it seals up the system. So yeah, and why not have your own? We're making the suppressor. Why not have our own? But we do understand, like, so many people, like, I've got guns with all kinds of different mounting surfaces on
Exactly.
it. Everybody's got their own flavor. So yeah, let them have at it.
Absolutely. And then the last question, now this might change because there's a lot going into this, but
That's true.
The expected kind of release date, when you guys think you'll be semi-close?
Yeah, so right now we, with the way that we like to do things, we like to be vertically integrated, bring everything as much as possible internally. So, we made all the investments to do all of our own 3D printing at scale in-house. So that's really the last piece of the puzzle that we're waiting on to go into full production. But design-wise, pretty much everything's done.
Awesome.
So we're expecting that at the earliest, I think August, we could be in production and start rolling these things out. But this will be the primary kind of flagship.
Right.
But the cool thing is, you have this really standardized tube design. It's right in the middle of suppressor sizing. It's a 6 3/4 inch length, a 1.75 diameter. So it's not a large can. It's not a K can. It's right in the middle. And I think that we can cover pretty much every rifle caliber under the sun with that. But we have some dedicated little 22 cans built with very similar design. And there's a lot of other things we're looking at. Pistol calibers are a whole other thing too, because they have a completely different pressure profile. So, doing a pistol caliber in this size is sometimes a little much. They're so low pressure that it's a lot of air volume. Yeah. So it does interesting things. It does interesting things, but it'll be interesting.
I'm very excited. Justice, I appreciate your time. Thanks
no
for
problem.
showing us around at DuraMag. It was very hospitable. Florida, I was a little hesitant. God, I don't know about Florida, but now I kind of want to live here. Okay, so it's kind of contagious. So just be aware of that. If you ever come down to Florida, it might get you. might get you and start sinking its hooks in, kind of keeping you here. So just understand that. But let's go ahead and get shooting. We'll get into the fun stuff, and then that'll be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let's do it. All right, we're gonna kick it up now. That's it. Oh yeah, one more. Okay, so 100% significant difference with gas to the face.
Yeah,
like I barely even smelled the pepper. Normally I smell a little, you know, a little spice.
Yeah.
But with this,
and
I
you're
didn't.
A lefty, so this system is
Exactly
not really great for you. But yeah, that was the thing. We wanted to suppress the weapon system without the weapon system knowing it's suppressed.
So this is the Maxim PDX. Somebody I know makes the OEM magazines for these. Holy cow, that's a tough mag release on that side. And it's DuraMag, turns out. So we're gonna run them. Never shot this gun before, so let's try it. And got that super cool new suppressor right there on the end, boy. So let's see how this little guy runs in 7.62 by 39. How many issues do we have? None. That's right. 0 feeding issues that entire time. What does that say about the magazine?
It's good. It's good mag.
Good mag.
Shop at goodmagwarehouse.com.
That's right. Good Mag's Warehouse. Can't link any of that, obviously, for obvious YouTube tyrant overlord rules. But you know where to get it. You know where to find them. Thanks for stopping by. I guess we can close this eventually. Eventually we'll have to wrap this up. I don't want to see the day end. It sucks, but that's real life. If you made it this far, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It fuels everything we do. It ensures that you see more gun content, and it ensures that more gun content is seen on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Thanks for shopping at Gun Mag Warehouse. Stay free.